in some trouble right now because I don't know who chose this panel, but we all entirely mesh too well that it's going to be a bunch of troublemakers. So come on up and go ahead and take your seats. But I do know who chose it. Brian, Matt, and I each chose one person on this panel, so it's our fault. Like Brian said, hi everybody. My name is Carlo Viray. I am the Director of Customer and Employee Experience at Rise 8. A little quick background about myself. Prior to this, I was an Air Force acquisition officer. I started as one of the first product managers with Kessel Run over, somebody said 6 years ago. That's both like long and short, kind of crazy how long that's been already. And then after that, I went to start and found Kobayashi Maru in Section 31 as the Director of Product. And I just separated a year ago and here now as the experience guy at Rise 8. And funny story, my call sign is Guy, so Carlo Guy Viray. And at Kessel Run, I think Adam and Matt and Brian dubbed me the vibe guy. And now here I'm like the experience guy. So what that really means to me is similar to what Josh Marcuse mentioned yesterday in his opening speech, is that inherently, like, I too am just a people person. And being a people person means we deeply care about the experiences and the interactions with every single person that we interact with. And that goes from the customers to the employees to our candidates that are going through this entire pipeline. And so today, what I believe, in my biased opinion, is going to be the best panel, best conversation today because of who we got here, especially to talk about people specifically around hacking, government talent management and talent acquisitions. So all of the conversations today, especially what Max brought up this morning, where this topic is a critical variable to building a high-performing team. But he also said it's not much that we can control. But here, I think we have a group of rebels that have been trying to break some barriers to be able to bring that control back, to solve some of these challenges. So without further ado, I would like to kick it off with allowing each of our panelists, who are badass, to introduce themselves. So please tell us a little bit about yourself, your current role, and how you came into the talent management or talent acquisition space.
All right. Well, good morning, everybody. I'm Aine Nakai. I am the Director of Guardian Generation in Talent Management Office for the Space Force. And that is probably something you have no idea what it means, right? So I'll let you know. I'm in charge of recruiting, outreach, engagement, strategic communications. Thank you, Adam Jenis, for joining the team last Monday to help with that. And also inter-service transfers. And how I got here, great question. I commissioned in 2000. Oh my word, how did that happen? Was active duty in the Air Force as a contracting officer, got out, and worked in the black world with Max Reel, I saw him earlier, and did some program management with space superiority before coming into talent management as the Director of Talent Management in MLA, and ultimately at headquarters now. And all of that leads to the same thing Carlo just mentioned, caring about people. So when I was asked, hey, do you want to do talent management? I'm like, absolutely. Anything I can do to help my fellow guardians, I'm down.
Hi, everyone. I'm very happy to be here. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Amanda Schonfeld, and I'm currently the talent team lead for the Technology Transformation Services, which 18F and Presidential Innovation Fellows Program is housed under TTS at GSA. I have been with the federal government now since 2016. My career has been spent in talent acquisition, my entire career. But I worked in private industry, and I've always been focused on hiring talent within the technology space. I had some folks who joined 18F that I knew about maybe in 2014, and I started just hearing information about this organization, and I thought, wow, there are people out there that want to modernize the federal government in terms of the experience that people have with the federal government from a technology standpoint. And I thought, I want to be part of that. That's amazing. And I've never looked back since. It's my most favorite job ever. It's also the hardest job I've ever had. And I am grateful every day to have the opportunity to work with the people that I do. And frankly, I think that the most important job anyone can have in the federal government is really bringing the right people in to do this work. And that doesn't mean my job. That means anyone who's a part of that process in the federal government, whether you're a hiring manager or you're on an interview panel. It's critically important that we get this right because our government is made up of people. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome. Hey everyone, my name is Leah Vincuilla Peterson. I first of all wanted to say thank you so much for having me here today. It is super inspiring to be in this room full of amazing minds. I'm currently serving as Kessel Run's Chief People Officer. My path was a little different. Yeah, Kessel Run crew. The Air Force did tell me to go be a personnel officer. My academic background is in behavioral science and organizational psychology, so it fit. I was lucky enough to come over to Kessel Run. I had worked on some digital transformation initiatives as a personnel officer, and I had the honor of serving Colonel Odie as the first section commander for KR, and now I am so lucky to be a civilian. I agree with Amanda, it is the hardest job. Kessel Run Talent Operations takes care of talent acquisition, talent management, employee experience, enablement, growth. We have a huge order to fill, but it is absolutely amazing to be in that role and to be here with all of you to continue growing together.
Awesome. Today's panel topic is about hacking government talent management. Why do you even think we're here in the first place? What is maybe one challenge that you've seen or one pain that you've seen that we need to have this conversation?
Well, the first thing I noticed after having 4 babies is what's up with no maternity paternity leave for DoD civilians. I actually saw Colonel Liu in the lobby of LA Air Force Base in one of our buildings there. He's a reservist in JA and happens to be Congressman Ted Lieu. And I totally fangirled and went up to him and I was like, "Hi, sir, I'm Aine Nakai, I'm Director of Talent Management. Did you know your constituents don't have maternity paternity leave?" And his jaw dropped. He was like, "You're kidding." I'm like, "No, I'm dead serious. Can you help me out?" And he said, "Absolutely, go work with my staffer." And sure enough, he worked with other congressmen to get maternity and paternity leave into the NDAA a couple years ago, so effective last October. Maternity and paternity leave. Yeah! So thank you to Congressman Liu. Another thing, I was offered this job, and it happens to be at the Pentagon, and I said my kids would disown me. I'm so sorry. Thanks for the offer. They came back and said, "Hey, what would happen if we offered you a remote job and you get to stay in Redondo Beach?" And I said, "Yes, I'm in." So I've just hired a captain from SSC, and he wants to stay in LA too. So I'm literally negotiating to make remote telework an option for military as well, because it's all about quality of life, and I'm breaking it, and there's a lot of people, as of this morning, still trying to push me against that, but I know I'll win that one. So I'm looking forward to getting him on the team. And so with that, benefits, quality of life, that's all stuff that's important to every human. And so whatever we can do to get after that and make their experience better when they onboard, and to get them on board sooner. I literally created a human being waiting for my government job offer. Literally, I interviewed 4 weeks pregnant and joined when he was 2 months old. Definitely don't want to put anyone through that, so I've taken up an MOU with AFPC to take over all hiring for the Space Force. They just signed it. It's stuck at SAF-AA right now, but I'm confident we'll get that signed too, so I'll be giving out my team, TJOs and FJOs, to all of our civilians here in the near future to get them on board faster so we don't lose anybody.
Amanda?
Yeah, with my background being in talent acquisition, I think something I care really deeply about is the candidate experience. And my experience when I initially joined, and this is no secret because I talked to my boss about this when I joined, was not great. I actually had felt like I'd fallen into a bit of a black hole. There were long periods of time where I didn't get updates on what was going on with my status. And as a human being and a person, when you are really interested in an opportunity and you don't hear back about what's going on, you immediately think, they don't like me. right? Which that wasn't the case at all. That was not what was happening. And I think that these, long hiring cycles in federal HR sometimes are what they are, and we can do what we can to reduce timelines. But when we can't fix that, you can reach out and talk to people. There's nothing wrong with having a conversation, with letting somebody know, hey, I don't have an update right now because things are happening behind the scenes, but I just want you to know we care about you, we're still really interested in you. And so I really made it kind of my own personal my goal when I joined to have candidate experience be at the forefront of everything that we were doing from a talent acquisition standpoint. And we actually have rolled out a candidate experience survey as well. Don't worry, Paperwork Reduction Act, we went through the whole process. But we survey our candidates at every step of the process. So even if they are not selected, we ask them to provide feedback to us on what their experience was like, and we make continuous improvements on our process based on that direct feedback.
Awesome. All right, why are we here? I think Josh Marcuse yesterday answered, for me at least. Everyone in this room is on the same page that government technology needs to bridge the gap to consumer technology. But technology is not our most potent weapon system. This is for our DoD folks. It's the humans that make it. It's the humans that iterate on it. It's the humans that receive it and use it. And every single piece of government HR was created for the past. So we are here on this panel, in my opinion, because we need to iterate on exactly the human aspect, the human process of talent acquisition, talent management, employee experience. Having that parental leave is so important. Having that great onboarding experience is so important to be able to optimize the best product we can.
Yeah, I love that. I'd love to navigate the rest of this conversation, in today's panel through that lens of the candidate's experience, going from the actual, application process, recruiting, attraction, into the hiring process, and then now the employee experience and talent management and development. So from the recruiting, advertising, and a marketing standpoint, how are you attracting the right people to want to consider working in government organizations? And what are some of the biggest challenges to attracting talent?
Well, I don't think the Space Force has any trouble attracting talent right now. It's just that experience once you join. One thing they did have a trouble with initially was, hey, we have this new program. It's called Constructive Service Credit, where we can bring people from industry in, and in this particular time frame last year, it was cyber. And they can skip a bunch of grades and come in at a higher level based on their experience, their certifications, their education. And no one knew how to tackle that. So I just threw something up on LinkedIn, and lo and behold, I was in shock with the amount of people that personally messaged me. So that probably wasn't the right approach in hindsight, with 400 personal messages, with great Americans that were willing to come serve their country and leave Google and Amazon and all these great companies. And so we were able to hire 6 of those folks in. And with the employee experience piece that you mentioned, one thing that I've just started doing, agile software development, which is something no one knows how to do at headquarters, Space Force, because no one knows what to do with me. I'm trying to get ServiceNow and Deloitte as an integrator to get this recruiting all the way to onboarding experience, and working with S1A, CTIO to figure out how to get ATO. But literally, no one knows how to do this. I reached out to SSC because I know Colonel Kralikowski has approval authority, but found out she can't help me out with what I'm trying to do. So currently working through that, so getting smart people like everyone here in the room and collaborating with you two has been super helpful. And I'm looking forward to tackling that problem to give a better employee experience to our guardians.
Yeah, I would agree with Aine that it's not actually that difficult to attract people to these opportunities. I think that it's a matter of just getting the word out there about the kinds of opportunities that we can offer folks. There are really interesting, juicy, hard problems to be solved. That's why you're all here. right? It's interesting work. And working with others who are motivated by mission-driven work is incredibly rewarding. I think that the challenge isn't necessarily attracting talent. Certainly, you need to just get the word out, and 400 messages later, right? So it starts with getting the word out, but then I think it's really helping people to understand and navigate this process, because they may just be interested initially, but you could lose them through the process if you don't help them out, if you don't explain things in plain language. Who wants to write a federal style resume? Nobody. But you got to do it, right? So it's just like trying to decode the entire process and demystify it all is really important.
Yeah, I love that. Decoding the process is super important. For us attracting talent, I want to shout out to our media and comm team. We have a few people in the crowd, but they have done an amazing job creating the Kessel Run brand and really getting that word out there. I do see on our most technical expert needs that we run into the salary ceiling for federal civilians at least. That's probably our number one challenge with once you attract them, how do you actually get them over to you? So yeah, the salary ceiling, but we have an amazing team that gets the word out, and just by managing those expectations up front creates a smoother process.
Yeah, now that we've landed some interest from candidates, they got to go through that federal hiring gauntlet of a process. And you talked about some of those things that you've come across. There are extremely long lead times to actually, closing in on a candidate and hiring them. So how have you expedited the process so that you don't lose candidates because of that?
Well, one thing we did is adopt acquisition demonstration, ACDemo, which gives us direct hiring authority. So we're able to bypass USA Jobs. That is a painful place to go find a job. I'm sure y'all probably have done that before. So that's helped sped up the process, that we can literally direct hire you right now if you were to say yes, right? Sorry, Brian. To join. So that has helped a lot. Another thing that really resonated with the pay, we get a lot of pushback on pay setting. Like, I want to hire this person at NHO4 and pay $172,000. And everyone's like, say what? What are you thinking, right? So what we've done to bypass that, Gartner has this app, Talent Neuron, that we're using for labor market statistics, because you know people in the industry are making that money, but you have to prove it. So I have the justification, the backing to show that this person deserves to make this much money, and no arguments after that with that analysis. So happy to add that to our process to speed up the negotiation of salary.
Data, so helpful.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going to pass it on to you. I'm good.
Sure. Yes, data is a strategic asset. I'm just repeating everything Josh said yesterday, so thanks, Josh. So definitely data is a strategic asset for iterating on those hiring processes. To hire a federal civilian, it can take up to 12 offices of coordination, depending on the offer that you're extending. Something that I think Kessel Run has done really well is that we hire in cycles, which at times can be annoying. I totally empathize with, sometimes we just need a person in seat faster than to wait for the cycle. But by hiring in cycles, we can get all of those 12 offices that it takes to make that action on speed dial to us. And when they're on speed dial to us, we can get an offer and a start date out faster. We recently had a civilian from offer day to start day, which start days are constrained too by regulation. It was in 37 days, which is pretty dang good when the average lead time is about 7 months.
Yep.
Yeah, that's amazing. So we also utilize direct hire authority. I Our hiring times really it depends. It's been anywhere from 3 to 6 months usually. So we need to talk later about
direct hire authority is key.
Yeah, direct hire. Yes, it is key. It's totally baseline key. I think the other thing that we've been doing, and this is brand new, and we're iterating on it right now, is kind of hiring in larger buckets or cohorts. So utilizing direct hire authority, creating position descriptions for buckets, if you will, of like product, engineering, design, account, and trying to hire as many people as we can within a particular bucket for all the various teams across TTS, which is challenging, frankly, but it has actually resulted in us hiring more people in a shorter amount of time.
Awesome. So we've attracted people. We've been able to like slim down our process, but part of that is actually assessing that these people are the right fit for the job and the role. So how have you been able to accurately assess, the competencies and the skills of these candidates to actually be hired and actually do a great job for what you're expecting?
Well, in my shop, we work directly with the hiring manager and ask them in layman's terms, who do you want to hire? Because a lot of these positions descriptions are very ambiguous, don't really say much. So the key is communicating that when we advertise on LinkedIn and all these various platforms. So it's really up to the hiring manager to make sure they know what they need and they articulate that to me, and we go after that talent for them.
We very much do something similar. We've worked with our hiring managers to actually create what we call a career progression framework for all of TTS. So before we even put out an announcement, we work off of the career progression framework in terms of, what career stage person are you looking to bring onto your team, and how does that map to the framework? The framework itself actually identifies and defines the competencies that it takes for someone to do the job at that particular level. We build our interview guides off of those competencies as well, so that people know what they're clearly being evaluated against, and then that also maps to their performance plan in terms of their performance appraisal.
Our process sounds pretty similar to that one. We do, first of all, to take a step back to the outreach portion of it, we have done an analysis of everyone that we've hired that has successfully stayed on beyond 6 months. And where, how did they hear about us? Where did they come from? And really targeting in on those areas and networks through the media and communications team. And then once they do get invited to an interview, having the framework that's really discipline specific, but also incorporating a cultural fit assessment that's in line with the Kessel Run 4 established core values. So that is the first stopping point to make sure that person's going to be a great cultural fit for our team, is on the same ideals that everyone in here is on to modernize and optimize the government tech space.
I love that. So we've hired some bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, new federal tech workers, and you mentioned how can we sustain them for beyond 6 months? The next challenge, right, becomes retention, and increasing that retention through a variety of processes and practices, and managing both, performance and happiness. So I want to shift into gears. We've hired somebody. Many positions in the government, especially in the military, are determined by this needs of the department phrase, which is a spicy topic, and I'm very opinionated about. But it often results in many employees working on projects or programs that aren't, aligned with their interests. And so imagine the retention over time. Are you going to be able to maintain their happiness and keep them? So how can you effectively match people with their talents to what they actually enjoy and work on, and what's available for the projects that are there?
Well, one thing, we're creating our pulse surveys. So we're reaching out to everyone and asking them, are you happy with what you're doing? How can we make it better for you? Actually getting their input, because it's not going to be a dictatorship here, right? What do you want to do? How do you want to develop? So that input is critical. A couple of folks have already told me, hey, I'd love to stay longer, but homesteading, I heard, is bad for you. I'm like, we're a new service. We can do it differently. It doesn't have to be bad. You can still have a breadth of experience wherever you might be if you want to stay there and your family wants to stay there. So I already talked to a couple people about that for the future, that we can do something like that. Also, we are tackling competencies at large in the Space Force to see how we can get that breadth of experience to everyone and not feel pigeonholed to a certain career path. We're looking to expand that and getting input from everyone along the way, so we're not operating in a vacuum. And so getting that input on how we're going to progress through our career and giving meaningful experiences along the way is key. And a couple things that we're doing is looking at CDE local to you. Right now, we just did a pilot with USC to do a space and defense executive program. So you don't have to travel to MIT necessarily, unless you're stationed up north, which we do have a couple of folks up here now in the New England area. So looking at that. Another thing is defense ventures, looking to embed folks with venture capital firms in Silicon Valley to get that experience and bring it back and learn about emerging technology so we can stay current. That's something that we just implemented a couple months ago, and looking forward to doing more cool programs like that. And Mr. Chad Millett, Chief Learning Officer of SSC, I know, is looking to do some really cool experiences on learning, maybe virtual reality, gaming, making acquisitions fun. Say what? I'm looking forward to seeing what he can come up with. Look forward to that.
We're working on a lot of different initiatives right now at TTS, specifically focused around people growth and managing folks' careers. I would say that we've made a huge investment within the last year on providing training support for our supervisors. I think supervisors need to be equipped and understand how to help their people grow and how to support them. So we've actually brought in vendors to do trainings for our supervisors. We have a biweekly supervisor call. One of those 2 calls is optional, and you can check the agenda, because who needs tons of meetings if you don't need to be there, right? But we also are working on internal mobility. What does that look like? We certainly have a lot of opportunities for folks to detail to other teams within TTS. We have an internal TTS job board for those kinds of opportunities, as well as opening up reassignments. I recently got some news that made me very happy that so far in fiscal year 22, we've actually had the same number of promotions that we have made in new hires. So I was really thrilled to hear that information, and I think it's something that we've been doing really well.
Awesome. So for us, with those hiring cohorts, everyone internally, including military members, I think, Carlo, that's really what you were hitting on, are able to apply for any of those positions. So I think there's some companies out there that call their programs bored at work. If you are bored at work, you do have the opportunity periodically, usually every 3 to 6 months, to apply for a different work objective internally, which is pretty cool. At the same time, definitely having a focus on all of those amazing opportunities, fellowships and internships, even deployments that are available at our hands. Also with the ACT demo system, many of you may not know, there is a sabbatical clause in there. Mm-hmm. If someone truly needs to take a break and work on something else that is professional development driven, that is a tool that is available to us. So hopefully with all of those things as a mixture, it does help with our retention, but there's also other initiatives that can be considered like retention incentives as well.
Yeah, that's awesome. Employee happiness is huge for contributing to retention, right? But also, on the flip side, sometimes you find out that certain people aren't the right fit. And so dealing with that also, there are also extremely long lead times to potentially removing somebody from the federal or department of whatever you're working in. And so often solutions are to just promote somebody to move them because you can't have the data necessary to be able to actually remove somebody if they're not a good fit. So how do you measure employee performance and specifically address that challenge of not being able or trying to be able to remove some people that aren't the right fit?
I encourage supervisors to have the courage to have crucial conversations with their employees. If they're not performing, there is a performance improvement plan or contribution improvement plan that you can do with your employees And if they don't fulfill those contributions within 30 to 60 days, you can remove them from federal service. And I've done that many times. So it is possible. It sounds really difficult, but if you follow, the guidance, it is possible. And people just need to do it instead of pawning people off to another organization and not dealing with it. That is not cool. And letting people know when they ask for supervisory feedback the truth, that is important. Like, I have gotten so much feedback from employees that I've personally hired and found out that maybe that wasn't an accurate assessment and they were just pawning them off too, right? So being honest in that is really important. And on the leadership part, I know a lot of us have seen toxic leaders in our careers. And one person we hired on our team is a behavioral psychologist. And in order to be a commander, you have to get interviewed by her to see if you have toxicity in your blood. And if you do, you are not going on a leadership path. You're going on a technical path. And so we're super excited that we just started that this year. And she's found out some phenomenal things to help our future guardians not have, hopefully, toxic leaders in their future.
That's amazing. So I think similar to what Aine said, the importance of having difficult conversations, supervisors being able to talk to their direct reports, and not just once a year. You should be having regular conversations about the performance of, the folks that you're managing. And if you have built a performance plan that actually is measuring the work they're supposed to be doing, that performance improvement plan should not be difficult to execute. Mm-hmm. But all of those things need to be in place in order to make all of this happen. The other thing I will say is that I wish we had a behavioral psychologist. We don't. But we do have a similar, values and culture interview that we keep iterating on. We actually have a hiring working group at TTS. So it's not just the talent team, it's not just the hiring managers, but it's people coming together and evaluating, is this values interview doing what we want it to be doing? So yes, of course, sometimes mishires happen, but we take every possible measure we can in the interview process to prevent it, including just making sure that the folks that we're bringing in align with our values and trying out new questions if we feel like the question that we've been using hasn't really been working for us. So it's something that we're constantly talking about and thinking about.
Sure, that's a great idea. So I love this question, Carlo, because I think it's partly mysterious that it seems like it can take a long time and it's very difficult to remove a government employee. Every government employee does have a probationary period. For ACT demo, it's 2 years. Mm-hmm. If the supervisor has documented they tasked them with this and they didn't accomplish it, mm-hmm. it's personally taxing, it's emotionally taxing, it's hard in that, but from what I have seen, it is not actually that hard, and therefore those tools to equip supervisors to have great feedback, to make sure that they're documenting. We do have a tool that not only pulses all of our employees on a bi-weekly cadence, for just how are they feeling and how are they doing. It's also a tool that can be used for supervisors to document that information. And just there and that's all you actually need. So it is emotionally difficult. It's a really difficult thing to do. That I keep saying difficult. But if they are not truly the right fit, that is a path that is available to everyone.
Yeah, awesome. This has been an amazing, insightful conversation, and we got 5 minutes left, so I just have one question I'd love to wrap it up with. It's somebody brought up like the magic wand question, so it's the magic wand question. If you had a magic wand and can change one thing about talent acquisition or talent management in the federal government, what would that be and why?
One?
I know, just one?
Yeah.
It would be awesome if we could just start all over. Because unfortunately, I've seen a lot of people in HR that don't care about humans, which is really bizarre to me. I know I don't have an HR background. I was in contracting, program management. So I really encourage all of you, if you ever want to consider a stint in talent management, it is hard. It's very fulfilling to try it. But that's what I've found. So raising the bar on the people behind us, the vacancies that are coming up, to make sure we get people that care. That's kind of the unwritten thing. I think that's most important. And these two ladies definitely exhibit it. I was scared coming here because I'm like, uh-oh, they're in HR. How's this going to go today? And they're amazing. And this is how the workforce should be, like them. And I'm looking forward to the future.
I mean, you just said it. But I think, yes, we should have HR people who actually really care about people. And I do feel like at all federal agencies, anyone I've ever talked to, their HR is severely under-resourced. You know, we expect HR people to do so much, frankly, with so little most of the time. And I feel really blessed to have had the ability to work with some great leaders at TTS to now build up my team to a size that I feel is manageable. But previously, I definitely did not feel that way. And I saw a lot of people on my team reach the point of, you know, practically burning out. And nobody needs that in their life. So I would make sure that we hire people into federal HR who care about people, and that frankly we bring in more of them, because I think that the structure of HR right now and what the expectation is of a HR staffing specialist is ridiculous.
Absolutely agree. Amanda has the same answer as me, so now I get two choices. So that would be my first thing, is to staff HR. My second, and equally as important, magic wand would be having, for the software, the tech people, the software people in the room, having that talent and people tech organization at the highest level to help us all where we're building, you know, sometimes at the lowest organizational level, trying to build up and then be cohesive with other organizations at the same time. Don't always love the top-down model, but I do think it would be very helpful to have a software talent office. There likely is one, but it probably needs more resources to help us all streamline and collaborate together, really building from the ground up.
Love
or modernizing even from our tools that we use.
Cool. So we unfortunately do not have time for questions. We have like a minute, but we can probably talk forever. So I will make the call here. We won't have more questions here. But feel free to reach out to any of these folks here and talk throughout the rest of the day. They're amazing human beings, and you can learn a lot from them. So I'll pass it back to Brian. But thank you, everybody.